What is going on? What is going on? My brother.
Brown, man, it's a good day. I'm glad to be here with you, my man. This is oh man, the mustache is all clean. I'm here with the real estate king. It is obvious why you the king. It's obvious right now. Obvious.
Introductions today. I'm Michael Seville, by the way. That's who we just introduced. The brother's going to. We got some extra things going on today, so I'm excited for it. You all see the topic at the time. Apparently, for outrage for most people, and this is the time when we're on. But I don't want to get into the show yet because we got some special things.
Yeah, 1,000%. King. Man, much call with you yesterday after I had, or definitely one of those men, one of those people, because there's a couple of ladies that are in my corner that I consider to be my mastermind view, and to hear the things that you have to say, because your patience that you have for me is for real. And it's kind of crazy. I know that there's been so many times when you said stuff, but when it comes down to it, there's certain things that you just are so professional with, and that you have so much those things that I'm able to come to you, and man, you just drop gems like you've got millions in your pocket. You know, it's like I just dropped a gem. That's all right. I'm gonna leave it for somebody else to go get that one. I'm gonna do a favor to the people of this world, and I'm gonna leave that with you. It's just that you just bring it so real and so uncut that it's good. So I just want to give you those props for that, because that's a very real thing, and it's a very real thing that's happening currently.
You, brother.
Yeah, 100. So today, as my brother is talking about on the community beacon, we were talking about having join in, and we were able to find somebody that we've been speaking with. They're part of the gathering, and they're a part of this inclusivity and better. And so this individual was very near and dear to my heart. He is my current spin. I don't want to say spin, but he brings a different perspective. Yet it's a wise perspective. He speaks in he speaks, and it just makes headway for so many people and the culture of the people and our local congregation. So I'm glad to bring to your front
we're going to experience some. this is new for us, so y'all forgive us as we go through this process. No, not yet.
Hold on, let me see.
Nope. Check the your mute on the. That's what happens with my head. Sometimes there's a mute on the headphone.
He's working this thing
Nope,
out, y'all.
not yet.
This thing out.
Let me see if we could. Yeah, and you're unmuted on here. As a pastor gets it, whenever you get ready, Pastor, we'll be right here. We're not gonna leave the topic for today. We're talking about it says cultivating compassion and understanding hate, ethics, and resource.
Ninth grade.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Chat GPT. Where? Oh my gosh. Man.
Yeah. Where's Chat?
Put it on him.
We'll figure it out. But sound starts working pretty soon. We haven't heard you yet. We can get into the understanding the hate. Now, I'm thinking, when you sent this to me, and as we speak on this, I'm thinking about just the polarizing way of the country right now. Like, it's so polarizing. And immediately I was talking to my father yesterday. I was like, man, this just seems like a playbook, because it seems very much like 2020 almost, to the point where everyone has become divided. Everyone has opinions, and not just opinions. I mean, strong opinions, things that I'm standing on. And with this divide, it's almost like a fruit of the divide is hate. If you're not for what I'm talking about, then you're against me. And because you're against me, you're against everything. This is some meta model language. We got to pay it. I heard something. What's that?
That's right there. He just came through.
Okay, we can hear you now, Pastor.
I don't know if he can hear us.
Put on the headphones. Maybe
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
Oh! I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did.
No, normally that's how it happens. We don't know what happens. It just happens.
Still there?
I can hear you.
Let's get into it, man.
Awesome.
Pastor Rashad, go ahead and give us a quick background on. Hopefully you heard it.
Yes, I heard.
So maybe you can
just
chime in on
closer to your mouth.
Hold on.
Oh, that might be better. I like this one better.
Hey, listen, all I know is, Mike, every single time that we have something like this happen in the forefront of what we're doing, it's a slam up show. I mean, things get real. Things get real fast because, listen, man, I mean, when it comes down to it, Mike, gosh, man, can you believe it? Like, we're approaching 3 years doing this. We're approaching 3 years. I mean, what are we, like 5 months shy?
Yeah.
5 months shy? November?
Yeah. I was
like
about to say, it wasn't even going to, it probably was October.
Oh man, we're gonna be at three years into this. Pastor, are you able to say anything?
Yes,
that's
good.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Can y'all see me?
Oh, we can see you.
Oh man, so glad to be seen.
Yeah.
So glad to be seen instead of viewed.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I'm so glad to be seen. So I'm like I said, I was seeing you're right, the
the what you call it, the GPT. I seen it earlier. Yeah, you had it at a high level. I need third grade level, third grade level education. Um, so no big words, only 3 4 letter words. You know,
All right.
don't kill me. Don't kill me. I'm like, what's the Bible with all the different words in it?
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a rookie.
I'm aligned with you. I see he sent it to me. Joe sent let me preface it. And I looked at it one time and I was like, what is he talking about? What is he saying? What does he mean? And so
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm Elder Ferguson, Pastor Ferguson. I've been pastoring for 7 months.
he's a rookie.
I'm a rookie. Report yesterday. So I'm still learning.
They put you out there to swim. I heard you swim. I heard you doing laps though. I've been here. I actually went out to see you one Sunday. Yeah,
Yes.
So I saw you backstroking and doing laps. So we're not gonna let the time fool us. Go ahead, Pastor.
Yes, sir. So I'm new in it. And I thank y'all for the opportunity for this. I've been watching every week. I have tuned in and listen. And when I was told, "Hey, listen, you want to hop on?" I was happy. I was glad to hear it, and I'm so glad to be a part of it today. So
Glad to have you, brother, for sure.
yes.
So you got a chance to peruse the topic earlier. Once we put it in a way that we were able to understand it. What are your thoughts on what's going on? And then we can jump in, and we can all just jump into it. This is new for us, and we appreciate you all for you coming on as well. But we can't see you.
Yeah, I don't know what it is when people, you know. So, like I said, I want to watch you guys' energy first and see where, so before I could jump in there.
All right. That's all right, man. That's all right, because sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for us, because we'll get in here and we'll start talking about a situation, a conversation, and then come 5 minutes. Let me just go ahead and say this part, man. Cultivating compassion. I think that this and cultivating is a serious word. Cultivating takes us to that place where what we're actually doing is we're working something out until we actually gather understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. We're trying to make it a fit for ourselves. And that's not always an easy thing. That's when the work comes into play. It's like when you're cultivating a ground, right? You got to go out to that ground and you have to pick up the rocks. You have to take the rocks out of the ground. You got to, you got to pull up the weeds from out of the ground. You got to do all of these different types of things in order for the ground to be fit for growth. You can't just go out to a ground and start planting seeds and expect for those seeds to grow and become some type of plant or some type of flower. You can't reap benefit where you have not sown, and you can't sow in a field that is not prepared. You have to prepare yourself. So when we start talking about this compassion and cultivating it, it's like we have to prepare ourselves to be able to be compassionate. It's not something that just comes to every individual. I don't think it comes to any individual for that matter, because when we're born, we have no idea what is up, down, left, or right. We barely get what's going on in the world. It's more of a fight just to learn how to lift our heads when we're born. So when we start talking about cultivating compassion, I think the first thing starts, like Mike would always say, you got to go to the parents, right? What have we put inside of that child? Did we put love inside of that child? Did we put compassion inside of that child? Because if we have, then there's going to be something there. There's a seed there that is growing. But if we haven't, then we have to go out. We have to learn what compassion is. And then from there, we can only there can we start to cultivate it. So first, we have to understand what is compassion before we can cultivate it. Does that even make sense, fellas?
Yes, that make a lot of sense. It starts at home.
It starts at home. It starts at home.
It starts at
And
home.
like so just looking up the dictionary perspective, right? Sympathetic, pity, and concern for suffering or misfortunes of others. So that's one definition of compassion. And I love ready to do a miracle. He got ready to do something. One time he was on a boat, and while he was on the boat, he was laying down, he was sleeping, and he looked for him. And he said, "Jesus, care us not that we perish." And he looked at them, and he was like, "How long?" Passion on them and rebuked the storm. And it's like, at what point in time will these disciples recognize much greater than his death at that current moment? To understand that is to say that you're going, but their lack of understanding was not something that he looked down on them. He didn't look down on them. Rather, instead, he had compassion. He had sympathy because they couldn't understand that his life was greater than that moment in time, that the destination was greater than the turmoil that they were going through. But nonetheless, he looked at them and he's like, let me have compassion on these men right now. Rebukes the storm. Hey, y'all all right? And it's like compassion is the act of seeing that somebody else is going through something that they cannot fathom. And instead of berating them, instead of hurling words at them, instead of bringing them down, instead of kicking them, instead of doing those things and acting as if you should have known by now, like you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, you're 60, you ain't learned this yet. Instead of looking at them with disdain or contempt, instead of that, Jesus looked at them like, all right, y'all don't get it yet. In his mind and in his words, he said, how long must I suffer you? And then he had compassion. And he just like rebukes the storms, like, all right, fellas, we got a little bit further to go. When we take that type of mindset and apply that to our wife, wait a second, honey. Gosh, how many times have I told you, you know what? I get it. You don't understand this. Yeah, my bad. Listen, let me go ahead and fix this up. Let's keep going down this journey. And like the lesson is, by and by, those disciples understood. When we get that type of mindset, it's like by and by, our wife understands. By and by, our children, they get it. By and by, our friends, they get it. By and by. But having that patience along with that compassion, I think that's what we are doing when we're cultivating is we're being patient through troubles, through situations, and we're being patient with people. There's a song, right? Please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet.
Pastor, you want to chime in?
Listen, he hit on that compassion. It's one of those things that you can be being compassionate with a person, just like what he said about with Jesus. He said, "How long do I have to suffer?" That means how many times I got to tell you? How long do I have to sit here and hold your hand? You know, it's one of those things like he's touched bases and he made it down to a fifth grader for me with your wife, or your children. How many times you got to do things for them to you know all right, everything is okay now because you had to go out and suffer. You had to go out and, like, let's say they spend all the money. That means, guess what? You got to go back to work. You got to go back picking up overtime. You got to go pick up a second job because they have done things uh, to, put us in this situation. But the compassion. And when I learned about that, even when Jesus, when he whipped them out of the temple, he still loved them. So sometimes it hurt. Sometimes it hurt. And we could get whipped because somebody is telling us the truth. And that's their love. Love, to me, love hurts. Love hurts. And that's that compassionate side.
I love how you brought up the correction sometimes that's needed. And there's a saying that says only a fool abhors correction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only a fool does not want to be corrected. If this happens, I hear when you are how we're defining compassion right now. I'm hearing meeting on the level, like I'm meeting these people on the level, and sometimes, yeah, it doesn't mean we don't have the frustration of it. Maybe we've said it before. Maybe we forgot that we said it. It's 10, 20 years, down the line, or maybe this was one of the first things that we've learned. This was taught in the household. This certain way of doing things. It's an effective and efficient way of doing things. However, somebody else may not necessarily have it. So for us to be able to come back and meet on the level, it's just a reminder to us, to continue reaching back and to continue going down on that level. When you talk to a child, because we brought the example of children, when we talk to the child, it's a little bit, they comprehend a little bit differently when you're looking down on them. So now it can sometimes it comes off as condescending, although and authoritative. And there's a time and place for that. But sometimes you got to get down on your knees and say, listen, just walk towards me. That might give them a little bit of comfort. Sometimes you got to get down there with them and say, as a leader, you got to get down with them and say, listen, we all going to do this work together. I'm going to show you how to do it and how to get to this place. Brother, we just had a conversation yesterday. Someone who may just be a little bit ahead of us to come back and look and say, and show compassion and say, oh, this is the direction that I took. Maybe I can help you with that. So, and here's the thing, because we're going to get into this understanding hate. And brother, you brought this point up in regards to the tilling of cultivate compassion now. Meaning, if you start to prepare for people being shot people being shot in their homes, that's the president that happened a week or 2 weeks ago. Game plan, there's a story being played, and there's triggers that are being touched at this point in time. If you already started tilling the land, now not to say that you won't get frustrated, because we're human. We're like, I said it, I'm prepared for it. And so now when I'm in conversation, I'm really looking for somebody else's perspective. So this is what you saw. What did you see? And how did that affect you? Because I don't know what they see, and more so, they don't have the information I have. Oftentimes, when you have compassion, you're the one who has the information. This person doesn't have it, but because of we'll really get into hate. Because what hate does is hate kind of blinds you. because you only want to see it one way, either my way or no way.
That's it.
So once we get, so they're not really, or people don't really want to receive this information. It's good information too. Like I was like, I got some really good information, but you're not ready to receive it just as of yet. So we can even talk about different ways that we can show compassion when people aren't ready to receive it. When they are being foolish and they don't want this correction. What do y'all think?
Hey man, you just brought up something, man. That thing hit me hard. Like last night we were going over the scripture when we were in our Bible study, and this came up, and it's St. John 13, verse 19. And it said, "Now I tell you before it come, that when it comes to pass, you may believe that I am he." And
Which
it's
one
like
was it? Which John?
St. John 13, 19.
Okay.
St. John 13, 19. And like what, maybe we can put that thing inside of the chat or something like that. But it's like, okay, God is saying, now I tell you before it happens. So that when it does happen, you know and you can believe. And like, so when you're talking about the preparation, it's like we prepare for things before those things actually happen. Because if we don't prepare for them until it happens, man, it's gonna be a mess. It's gonna be a mess. We have to prepare for these things before they happen. And that's what that cultivation is. I like how you're jumping into this to the next part of the topic too, because when it comes down to it, man, like hate can grow out of the lack of compassion, right? You start talking about the son and the children. And when we don't have that compassion, when we don't have that type of compassion on our children, sometimes they can regard us as, man, I don't see nothing but this person hates me. They don't like me.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing they do is discipline me. All they want to do is have their way.
Yep.
Nothing else. And
The
because
way,
of that,
well,
you
well,
can start to breed hate.
absolutely. So it's really a way of communication. So here's my question, brother, because I've said before on the show that there's three forms of communication. It's domination. There's oh man, I'm blanking out, but there's domination. There's correction, and then there's the compassionate part of it, where you're actually getting down to the level. And there's a time and a place for all of this. You know what I mean? When someone's in danger, then it's domination. Hey, don't cross that street. I'm pulling you out of the street because there's a car coming. Like that's a time for domination when somebody's in danger. Then of course there's the correctional part of it. And there's sometimes when you just have to correct someone. You know what I mean? I always say that my first interaction with someone shouldn't be correction. I learned that a while ago, because if the first time that I'm interacting with someone, if I just correct you off the bat, then you're kind of not really going to receive what it is I have to say in this communication. And then there's this compassionate part of it. There's this coming of coming down to the level of this conversation. And so, so this is something that it is that we have this information. So because if we have this information, oftentimes we will be the ones who are doing it. And I'm talking to anyone who else is watching this. There's times when you have all this information. So because you have this information, and if you want to impart this information, then you have to be the one to oftentimes be the patient one, right? You got to be the patient one. You have to start kind of taking a step back and allowing people to get it out. Because I'm a firm believer that hate takes a lot of energy. I think Martin Luther King said that I prefer love because hate is too hard of a burden to bear. It's a lot to bear this hate. It takes a lot of energy to get, because hate is a strong word. I'm not talking about dislike. It's a strong dislike. It takes a lot of energy. It takes you off your game, as we spoke about. I'm hoping the pastor comes back, because I know he.
Yeah, man. So I like that. Yeah. I know he's having a little bit of trouble with that signal over there. Yeah. So yeah, I pulled that up. I pulled that up, man. I pulled that quote up right there by Martin Luther King Jr. Um, about hate. Man, that's pretty real right there. Let's see. See if I share that real quick. That's it right
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah, I've decided to stick with love because hate is too great a burden to bear. It takes energy. I don't know if anyone could, because you're consumed with it. You're consumed with it. You're always
Mm.
talking about it. You're always attempting to figure out how to undermine it. This thing that you hate, you're in fear of it. We'll get into that as well. You're in fear of this, of whatever it is that you've decided to hate. And so, what is it? Is it the chicken or the egg? Is it the fear before the hate, or is it the hate before the fear?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, awesome.
Yes, yes.
so good.
Always talk about hate. Um, I don't got time for it. Hate bring on anxiety.
Mm.
So I don't have time for it. I don't have time when I have a lot of hate. I have a lot of hate in my heart. And until I realize, because I'm trying to think for them, I get in that, I start stressing because I'm like, what is they thinking? And I try to read their thought. When I realize, great man once said, listen, let that stuff roll off you. So now I have no hate. I have nothing but love in my heart. I have nothing but love in my heart. Because hate ain't got no room.
Mm. Yeah, I think just dealing with, kind of like piggybacking on that, dealing with hate and how hate just arrives. I definitely feel as if hate is like one of those things that comes up in darkness. It's like the old tales of the boogeyman sleeping underneath your bed or in the closet. Hate is like that thing, that feeling it's not going to just knock on your front door. It's coming in the window. It's sneaking through the chimney. It's coming through the back door because hate slips in a moment. And I think that just being cautious about understanding that, because it's like you can become angry. There's many times where I've become angry at something. And because of that anger, it can morph, it can change, it can develop, it can become something greater. So you have to learn how to deal with those things that anger you. And that's the thing that I've learned, Mike, is like I had to learn how to deal with those things that just make me upset. Because if I don't deal with them, then they will deal with me.
Amen.
I recall like years back, somebody had upset me so much and I lost control over how I felt as if I lost control over how things would play out. I believe that this is so for me this was a serious situation for me. And looking back, there's a saying hindsight is 2020. But like looking back, it's like I had control the entire time, but my feelings were that I did not.
Mm-hmm.
And so because my feelings were that I did not have control, I allowed for life just to be what it was. I didn't choose to be something different. I chose to be who I was, where I was, and deal with things as it was. And so the anger that I had, it just started to boil up in me. I didn't think, okay, let me go and dispose of this. And listen, man, this is like after the days where I had read in the scripture, anger, yet sin not. So I already know that you're not supposed to allow the sun to go down on your anger. But listen, me and this anger right here today, no, we got a date with destiny.
Mm.
Because I'm so angry. I'm so mad that I would prefer to be angry. I would prefer to be mad than to be happy. There's no room for me to be happy. There's no room for me to have joy. There's no room for me to have understanding. There is no room for me to think differently. Compassion has left the building.
Mm.
And I don't know if this has happened to anyone out there. I'm sure it has, but maybe you may be in the same place that I was then, and you're just like, nah, it's never happened. I can tell you right now, that's probably a lie. There's a greater chance that that's a lie than there is that it's not a lie. Because the thing is that emotions have a way of taking over when you allow them to. And that's any emotion, right? That could be joy. I could be so filled with joy that, I'm bouncing around and I forget that I'm on the street side and I walk out into the middle of the street because I'm so filled with joy. That's probably happened to somebody before. They're so happy that they step down off the curb and somebody's got to do like what Mike said, forcefully grab them and pull them back in the safety. Like, man, what's wrong with you? Like, oh man, I just forgot what was going on. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. Things happen when emotions take over. I'm so in love that I stopped looking at red flags. Overcome with this feeling of admiration for this other individual that I stopped looking at how they treat me when certain things happen. And I allow for the way that they treat me to be okay in my life. By the time I realize that it ain't love, it's too late because it is now become a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so anger has a way of doing it. That's why I love that scripture when it teaches me that if I am angry, don't sin and don't allow for the sun to go down on my anger. In other words, deal with it as soon as possible. Why? Because it can manifest hate. Anger can manifest hate. Just like being mad can manifest madness. It can become a state of being.
Yep.
And at that point in time, what do I have for the individual, for the people? And you brought up something real serious when you started talking about this thing dealing with Trump and dealing with Biden and the political differences. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a libertarian or a socialist, whatever you are. I could care less because this is America. And in
Mm-hmm.
America, you got the freedom of speech. And if you can say whatever you want to, then God knows you can think whatever you want to. But the thing is that what we do with our tongue, what we do with our speech, that's the thing that affects other people. Your thoughts don't affect me, but your words, they do. When I was coming up, sticks and stones may break my bones. That's what mama tried to put inside my mind because there was this thing called yo mama jokes that got us into a lot of fights. So she created this thing. Still, words do hurt. Sometimes words create cuts and bruises that cannot be so easily healed because I can't see them. And what now I got hate inside of me because my anger caused a cut on the deep parts of my psyche, my mind. My mind is wounded. And every time I look at somebody, I'm reminded of why I'm angry at them, why they made me mad. When I look at situations, I'm reminded of why I'm angry, how much I believe something different, how much I just want to stop their mouth. I don't want them to talk anymore. And my liberty now becomes the opportunity for me to tell you, shut up, don't speak anymore. And if your liberty tells me to shut up, we end up creating and cultivating hate, a war between peoples. And that war between peoples, between persons, between creeds, between nationalities, between religions, between faith, between decisions, between words, between conversations, between family, between friend, between blood. When we create that, hate begins to take a new place inside of our life and it becomes madness. Why do I hate? Because I allowed hate to get in the driver's seat and drive me wherever I go. And when you look at this political difference and you see, I was told, I think I brought it up on the last conversation. I was told, man, if Trump don't win, I'm going to the street with guns. Why? Why? 4 years, whoever it is, that's what they got. 4 years. That's what they got. But why do I know? Why the thought and the reason that I want to put words to my thought, that I want to go out to the street with guns to find anybody who's not a Trump supporter and tell them what I think. Why? Why did the man take a shot at Trump? Why? Who doesn't want to hear Trump speak so much that they attempt assassination? Why?
This is the important reason why you got to start getting these things under wraps, as you spoke about, brother. And I think the first step would definitely have to be the awareness that it's there and that you are capable of these things. Sometimes we feel as if we're not capable. I always I always warn people, like, you feel like you're not capable of it, but what is it? It could be avoidance. I've carried it around to where it's like, oh no, it's just water off my back, off a duck's back. And then all of a sudden when it becomes triggered, because I I don't believe words hurt people. Words expose people. So words will expose things that are there, because words are being spoken all the time. But if nothing's there, it won't bother you. But if it's already in you and it's spoken to you and you haven't dealt with it, then all of a sudden it comes out. So I'm a firm believer of words is just words, but what the saying is, a hit dog will holler. So sometimes people is just spouting off a bunch of different things. This happens on social media. This happens on TV, where people are constantly saying things. They just waiting, and then they're just throwing the proverbial crap at the wall and seeing what sticks. And then at some point in time, this is the triggering event for you, because there's something within you that you have that you haven't worked on or worked with. It's this seed. It started off as a seed, and it's there, and maybe you covered it up, and you said, "Nah, I'm not going to deal with it now." Like, I'm going to sleep on it. I'll wake up in the morning, it'll be better. I'm not gonna confront this thing. So it definitely starts with awareness, and then once you're aware of it, then we go into the acceptance part of it. I think for most people, acceptance is so tough because when you accept something for what it is and don't put an attachment to it, like this happened, or this is what is going on, and I accept that this is going on, most people feel like they lost because we've been taught for so long to just keep up the good fight, just keep going. At some point in time, you have to accept that this is happening. Not that sometimes it's not that it's happened. Sometimes this is happening. Sometimes things have happened, and this thing just keeps happening because of how we're thinking about it. We keep reinforcing it. The more we think about it, and oh no, we could change it. It ain't nothing. I can do this. This is accept that this is happening, and now we can start to now the light is being shed on it. Now we can start moving in a certain direction. You said be careful. I wrote something around here about be careful with. All right, I can't even read my handwriting. Y'all forgive me. So now we're dealing with with hate. Hate brings about fear because what hate does is hate shuts us off to most information. We're going to take most things at a surface level, meaning that once we find something that we trigger and we know to be true, we're going to take off and we're going to run with it in a direction. We're not going to search because we hate it. We're angry. We're not going to search for any more information. And this is it. So this is where the fear tactics start to happen. This is not the fear mongering. That's what we call it. Oh, why do you think a sane? I would imagine this person is sane. They're not sane at the time when they say this, and I'm sure they're intelligent because the brother doesn't hang around with too many unintelligent people, or have the ability, to have a rational thought. Would say, I'm willing to throw it all away if this person doesn't win. I'm willing to cut off my family members if they don't vote the way that I think they should vote. I'm willing to go to these extremes because if this happens, I am fearful what is going to occur if this happens. This is the only thing that my irrational mind can come up with, because that's what hate does. Hate makes you very irrational. Chris Voss used to say, anger makes you dumber. It makes you dig in. I'm digging in. And there's certain things that you should dig in about. We had a conversation a couple episodes ago where we spoke about being intentional and focusing on certain things and coming up with your values. Your values you should dig in on. If you spent the time that we decided that we should spend on our values, if we're spending the time thinking about those things and coming up with them, this is something that you've already rationally made a thought about. These things, this is what you're living your life by, these different values. This is what you're in alignment with, then dig in. But if this is just something came up that was triggering to the point where, let's say, where the president almost got shot. He almost got shot. So it's a triggering moment. I get it. A lot of feelings come up. I'd never seen this happen before. I'm in fear. This is not the time to dig in. This is the time to seek understanding. What is going on in the world is what I say. Well, what's in totality? What is happening? Like what's happening? Oh, okay. Now I can start putting things together. I'm not saying for us not to have those emotions or those feelings. That's a part of being a human being. That would be dismissive. I'm not telling you to dismiss your feelings or not validate your feelings. We validate them. This thing happened, right? Like this thing has happened. Now the rational mind has to come back and say, what do we do now? I love it. Who said the best boxers? That's Mike Tyson saying. Mike Tyson said, what happens when you get punched in the face?
Everybody has a plan until they get
until they
punched
get
in the
punched in
face.
the face. Now, how do you react when you get punched in the face? That's awesome. I love that quote. This is the time when we gotta get, the brother calls it grounding. We gotta gather ourselves. We have to get as many resources we can have as possible and say, how do we combat it? Otherwise, the hate will take over, the anger will happen, and now we're going in a totally different direction.
Yeah, that's big up words, man. That for real. And you know what? That's something else, Mike. It's like maybe you need to sit down and talk with the president and the candidates running, because they need to hear what you just said. I mean, granted, the president did get shot in his ear. He did. And that's a real thing. But they need to hear that right there, because if somebody took a shot at me, if I just to think about this, I'm at a family gathering and somebody takes a shot at me, how do I respond? Now, I'm not even talking about a gunshot. They take a jab at me, say these words, or maybe they even come out and they swing at me. Okay, first it's all defense, right? It's defense, because you caught me off guard. Now I didn't see that coming. Hold on, it's defense, maybe even a little bit of offense. Now, but I'm trying to back out of the way. But in the aftermath, I'm like, that's my cousin. That's my aunt. That's my sister. That's my brother. That's my mom. That's my dad. That's my best friend. Hold on. Hold on.
Let me get it together now.
Let me get it together. Am I willing to waste all of these years because there's probably a misunderstanding? I need to get back with them. We need to have a conversation. That's the way I'm thinking. I don't know if everybody's thinking like that, because some people like to hold on to the anger. They like to hold on to it, and they like to hold on to that. No, they did such and such first. Now the only thing I think about is revenge. They embarrassed me. They did whatever it is.
Yep.
No, you started, I'ma finish it. That's how this one's gonna work. Because you started, I'm gonna finish it. But it's like me, I'm thinking differently. And the people that I'm around, they think differently. Because if they didn't, I don't know how long I could be around them. Because one day I may make a mistake. I'm not going to walk around like I'm blameless. What if it's me? No, it can't be me. No, I don't. Okay, well.
Life will humble you. Life will humble you real quick.
Life will humble you real quick. So I think that's where it comes down to, and that's why we have to cultivate compassion. It doesn't come easily. Cultivating means sometimes you got to do the hard things first, right? Sometimes you got to go back, like going back to the field. You got to go back out to that field. You didn't realize that 3 inches deeper, there was another rock. You didn't realize it till you plowed that area. You thought the field was clear, but now that you're plowing, you ran into a boulder. Time to remove that boulder. Get that out the field, because if not, you'll never be able to fully develop. There's always going to be a spot in your field. And to bring that back to what we're talking about, that if you don't cultivate your compassion, there's always going to be a hole in it. And whatever comes through it is whatever comes through it, whether that's anger, whether that's hate, it's going to come through it. Oh, let's talk about people. Maybe now I can be compassionate to my friends. My grandma would say, hello. I can be compassionate to my friends, but I can't be compassionate to my wife. My grandma would say, hello. That meant I know I'm touching somebody right there.
Mm-hmm.
I can be
Mm-hmm.
compassionate to my wife, but I can't be compassionate to that one child. Woo!
That's the one.
It's that one. It's that one. That one get on my last nerve. Well, it's time for you to repair that nerve
They know what they doing. They know
and
what they
move that
doing.
nerve out the way. It's time for you to take care of the nerve that always gets stepped on because obviously you've left that nerve exposed. Stop exposing yourself. Go get yourself together. Go strengthen. It's like if we're lifting weights and I realize that my core, that I can't lift upper weight because my core starts to fail, or I can't lift lower because every time I get ready to do a squat, my core, I need to go to my core and start working out my core because it's the weakest part of my body. I need to strengthen my core, and then the rest of it can be strengthened from there. It's like that's something that we need to contemplate.
This thing comes from the core, the foundation. Once you get that foundation right, everything you build on top of it. You had this conversation. We spoke about almost being 3 years. It was almost 3 years ago. These things are just the principle. Hold on, let me say these things are the facts of life because the song went off in my head. The facts of life. That boulder is that forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for things that happen. We are not perfect. We've made mistakes before, and they're mistakes to us. I often think like they're just meant to be. Like I was meant to be on this video right now with Joe because something is percolating, right? So we go back and we forgive ourselves. You got to go back and you forgive your parents. Forgive your parents. I was thinking today, man, my brother is gone, and he always comes up in my mind right around these times. So Rasan Gordon, one of my best friends, passed away in 2008, December 17th, 2008. And man, I used to look up. He was older than I was, and so I used to look up to him. And I used to love the way that he would break situations down with a smile on his face. Very charismatic individual. He break it down. He be smiling, but he was thinking of something totally different. And so I learned a lot. I would always think of something totally different because I hear what people saying, but I really listen. I really pay attention to structure because what someone's saying is not really what they're saying. Because most people don't work on communication. We know this. Most people don't even know how to say what they have to say. So now that I'm the blessing and the curse is now I'm just listening to people. I'm listening, hearing to people. My face is not always right. So people are used to it and they still comment sometimes now. We're like, man, why'd you make that face? I don't know. I can't hide it. Rock used to Rock used to know how to hide it. He just be hey, and then he say, "Duh, duh, 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 duh." He come back and he break the whole situation down. I'm like, what was you like? What were you paying attention? Like we didn't know that that's how you was breaking this whole situation down. Yeah, this is how. That's how you talk. Yeah, this how it is. That's how you talk like that. Long story short, sometimes I'm looking and I'm listening to people, and I notice that there's that boulder in the grounds. That boulder is I did not forgive my mother for what she did to me. That boulder is and I'm telling them this. Yeah, mom. I forgave my mom. I don't know because you just transfer that to this young lady, or you just transfer that to your children. It's just replaying. I'm listening to people. Oh yeah, me and my father, we got a great and good relationship. So so on and so forth. Okay. So there was a saying like, "You sure about that?" There was a guy. It was a meme back in the day that kept saying, "You sure about that?" I'm not paying attention to what it is you're saying because you don't even know how to communicate it off times. You don't really know how to communicate. Oh well, he just bothered me a little bit and this, that, and the third. But why are you still talking about it? And it's been 2 months. It's been 3-4 months. When was the last time matter of fact, when was the last time you spoke to such and such who's supposed to be a part of your life? I haven't spoken to him. This is this boulder that you got to go back and see. Yeah, and I can see, I just happen sometimes to be able to see it. but I'm not paying attention to what you're saying. So sometimes we just saying stuff. I'm paying attention to what your way of being. And your way of being is coming in on how you even come in the room. I'm gonna give people a quick tip with this false bravado thing. I always talk about false bravado. When you watch, there are certain small things when a person walks into the room that off, and this is where the being happens. Most people who know can just tell. So it doesn't matter how loud you are. It doesn't matter how big you make yourself. When you walked in the room, the energy was felt. Something is off. Your words aren't in alignment with your body, or your body aren't in alignment with your words. When you have started working on yourself and you have become aware of a lot of different things, you have the ability, you're in alignment. Excuse me, now you have the ability, you are in alignment. Go back 3-4 episodes when we was talking about values and so on and such so forth. So now when we start to talking about hate, well, where is it coming from? I say some of the places that hate comes from is one of the places that I want to speak on, because I want people to become aware of it, is jealousy. Hate, jealousy is one of those seeds that grow, and it grows right up underneath, like you're not even paying attention to it, because most people do not want to come out and say, you know what, I'm jealous of such and such, or I'm jealous of whatever it is. So because you're not because of the jealousy issue, it just spreads into seeds of hate. It starts off with, oh yeah, the jealous part. I wish this I'm comparing myself to this person. Then it's like, well, why did this person get favor and I didn't get favor? Yeah, that person bought that car. That car is not all that good. That's what it's already started. Oh, that car it's all right. Man, next thing it goes that, man, that man could have gave me this. He didn't have to buy that. He could have gave it to me. So it's like it's just sprouting. It's just sprouting. To the next thing you know, it's just you can't even look at this person in the eye. I can't even look at him. He could have did this for me. Yeah, all that money he got. You know, he put a pool in his house, and I'm over here struggling. You know what I mean? Like it just go all that, and these are the seeds of hate. So take care of this jealousy thing. Jealousy is like one of them seeds of hate. Another seed of hate is shame. Shame will get you going. You're not living up to somebody's standards. Can you imagine? Oh, why you couldn't afford to pay the light bill? You riding in a bus. We should be having this car. So now I'm shameful because I'm not living up to this person's standards. Now I'm starting to look at other people. Now here we go again. I can't. Oh shit, they just making me feel bad. Not saying that this person might be saying this stuff to you to kind of make you get on your square, to make you get going. They might, because I don't think most people are with people and they don't see anything in them. At some point in time, this person saw something in you. Now don't get me wrong, it could have been a mark. If they're a true narcissist, they might have seen you as a mark. But I would gather that there's people at some point in time saw some goodness, saw some potential, and so they're trying to push you. They don't know how to push you, but so they're pushing you this way. But instead, you have developed shame, which then turns into seeds of hatred. And then, of course, guilt is another one. You start feeling guilty about your life and how it's going. Now you're starting to despise everybody. Somebody, like this joyful person, Joe talking about. They so joyful they started walking out in the middle of the street. Oh, why they all happy? Why they up there smiling? I'm the only one with problems. Why am I the only one with problems? They should have some problems too. And you know what the word goes as a state. It's called Missouri, and Missouri loves company. Misery loves company. Let me stop, Lord. We got the pastor. We got Elder Rashad back. You with us, brother? Uh-oh. We got that mic problem again. I'm gonna tell you what, we are gonna figure this out. We may have to get off and figure this out, because I know we've gone about an hour, but we're gonna get this off because we definitely want the elder to come back again and join in the conversation. Let's give him another chance to. I hear you.
There he is.
There you are. Won't you look? Somebody would say, "Won't you look at God?"
Can you hear me now?
That's it.
We can.
Man, I'm so sorry. I had to go heal the sick. I'm back.
We glad
I
that you're
don't
back, brother.
know.
Hey, listen, there's one last little piece, Mike. I don't know if Pastor, we have enough time to really cover this
No,
in the
no, no.
fullness.
Let him go. Let him go.
All right, so like we dove into hate and kind of exposed it. And Mike just gave out this awesome list of seeds that grow into hate, and we talked also about the decisions of being right and wrong, and how the context and perspective, how those things really shape what we believe is right or wrong. And
Hmm.
so it's like, I think that at this point in time, it's really about what are the types of resources that we can utilize, whether that's mindset, emotional energy, or any type of external, maybe going to prayer, maybe seeing your pastor, seeing a counselor, seeing a therapist, or going to a class to learn about communication. But what are some types of resources that we can use so that we can effectively manage our own mind to keep ourselves from developing hate and from moving in that pathway that really separates us from those that we love? That's the conversation I want to bring up.
Mm. Like yesterday, um, having those conversations. I know you just touched base on like you know prayer and different things like that. I learned sometimes people um, they won't bring their issues to the church, so they won't talk to the pastor or they won't talk to the elders. So like the group that you have, the gathering, getting a couple men that's going through different things, and we all can relate to one another. Um, I think when you can relate to someone, I think that's when people are able to talk. When you can relate, I don't want to talk to someone that's just going to throw the Bible at me. I want someone that could be
Mm,
saying, "I understand." That helps me more when you say, "I understand." Hey, let me tell you about me because I understand. But when someone say, "Oh, what did John say? What did Isaiah say?" I ain't never meet them folks.
mm,
I met you,
mm.
and if that's all you could tell me because you're trying to hide something. Um, so I think when we bring to help those, issues, having those groups, having a men's group, something that is lacking in the community.
I like that. You and I had this conversation about that once before, maybe twice or three times, because we talk often. But you've made mention of that so many times, that whole thing, and that's why I gave you the introduction that I did, because I've noticed that you really break things down in a very simple way. It's very simple. Don't go throwing the book at people to help them. That
Yes.
it's very simple. It's like there's so many people right now that just it seems like, I'm not going to give you no quotes. Mike he's the analytical guru over there. If there's a quote with numbers, he'll research it and bring it back to us. But it seems like so many people, they get this hate for the church, and it's like every time I see them, all they do is feed me these scriptures. And it's like, when you think about Jesus, Jesus didn't even just feed scriptures. He was like healing people through words and example.
Yes. Give parables.
Parables. Parables. He talked about the farmer, the sower, because the people were agriculture in that day. And see, his lifestyle became scripture. But when he talked about it, it was just regular conversation. so that people can understand. And so, like when I think about that thing, I think that that's real. It's like people, they come to me and they want to talk real. Now, scripture is a part of my lifestyle. So you're going to get a scripture here and there. But every time I'm not going to quote it. I'm not trying to quote scriptures all day long. There's a lot of people that can quote scriptures. I've met some people on the street corner that asked me for a couple of dollars to be able to get a sandwich that could quote me up and down the block. I mean, they knew it. They knew all of it.
Mm.
It's not that's not the word is greater than the quote, if that makes sense to y'all.
Yes.
I'm a big proponent of therapy and counseling. I almost think not almost. I think most people need to go to therapy and counseling. And but I think it starts with whatever it is that a person is going through. In this case, we're talking about hate and fear. I would ask a person like, what do you want instead? So instead of hate, instead of fear, like what is it that you want? Sometimes we're so focused on this problem, we need to focus on what it is that we want, and then we can get to work. So once we gain that, we gain the clarity, then we can start to organize, and then we can start to move in the direction of it is that we want. So before anyone does anything, kind of get an understanding of okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm having this hate. I don't want to feel this way no more. Maybe you don't even know what it is that you want to feel. I know most people like I just want to feel love. We just say I don't know what it is I want to feel. I want to feel. I don't
Mm.
want to feel this. What are the alternatives? And then to Elder Rashad's point, then you get around it. Now you start because now you get it because you can go easily in a direction of some type of negative way because there's these negative options for you as well. But if you don't know where you want to go, you'll go anywhere, right? So if you don't have a direction, you will go anywhere. So figure out the direction that you want to go and then move in that direction because there's a lot of bad and you spoke on the church, but there's some churches that people shouldn't be attending. There's some
Man,
counselors that there's some there's some counselors that people shouldn't be going to. I had a
Mhm.
therapist one time, and luckily I knew where I was going, and I heard the therapist, and I'm just like, yeah, I appreciate you. But I'm not going here. This is not I don't know much, but I know this is not the direction I need to head into. So at least just say, okay, what kind of get a understanding of where I want to go instead. We spoke a little bit earlier about the looking at the totality, the context of everything that's going on, and then say, because people can use that hate. I said it earlier, misery loves company. People can use that hate to fuel where they got to go. You think this 20-year-old man who never met Trump probably in a day in his life, our president in a day in his life, do you think that if he was pointed in the right direction, that he would be on top on the rooftop taking shots at somebody that you've never met? That doesn't know
Mm.
you, probably more than likely don't know you, don't know your mom, don't know nothing. This man is just, we spoke about it earlier. This man is just up here talking.
mm,
He's just talking, but now you're being exposed for what it is that you got inside of you. This thing exposed you to this point.
mm,
So figure out what it is you want. I don't like, I don't like this president or the past president because I don't have a horse in the race. I don't like him. Okay, so what do I like? Now I can spend
Mm.
some time on that. I can,
I
I can
like
spend
that.
I can spend some time on that. I don't like what's going on. All right, you don't like what I want to go get involved in the gathering. I want to get around some like-minded folk. I want to go to Rivera Beach and go talk with Elder Rashad. I want to go have the I want to get around things that I'm being drawn to. That I'm not going now. All right. I love it.
mm,
Man, you hit it. I think we all have that. I was talking to uh, Joel yesterday. I said, I say, if I have a counselor and if I need to sit down with someone, especially if they married, I would love to bring my wife in the room as well.
Mm.
The reason I would like to bring my wife in the room is for that understanding, to let them know that, hey, can I tell y'all how many glasses she broke? How many times uh, 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 my clothes been outside when I got back home? You know, I want y'all to know that I hear you, I understand, I'm with you. And I'm not talking years ago, yesterday.
Mm.
And I want to be that relatable to people. And you're right when you said about it's not just at the churches. You said even therapists. You went to you was in the wrong environment. I remember it was a time I went to a therapist for help, and she scared me. She said I went in her office. She had all these elephants everywhere. And she told me, she said, I read minds. I said, nope, this is not the place I need to be. Nope. Get it. My wife said, this is the last time we come in here. Yeah. You know, so you want, like you said, you want to go somewhere and be a part of something that's relatable. And that's like me. I want to be relatable. The only reason I got in this position because I know I'm relatable. I know I'm relatable. So I don't want to be that one to hurt people because I said that before. Hurt people hurt people. So I'm not that person that gonna throw things that I think I know. Cause soon as it's my time, I'm finna go hide behind this rock.
Mm.
Soon as they were like, oh, what a pastor at? Oh, he done. Oh, we saw the pastor at the club, and I can't come back because I done told somebody else they shouldn't be in there.
Mm-hmm.
So those type of things, I want to be understanding and agree. You know, I should be able to tell someone, hey, listen, you go to get you something to eat. Oh, what's the name of that place? Sports One? Oh man, I heard about it. It's a nice little lounge. Go and have you something to eat. They got good crab legs. They have a good sauce on their chicken wings. You been in there? Yeah, I've been in there. You should be able to be relatable.
Mm.
So one can have a conversation because people run away from you. Don't run away from me. That's why he said, come buy wine, milk and wine without price. It's free. Listen, you gotta be good to people.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I like that piece. So I would consider that to be one of the resources right there. Relatable. And I feel as if, you know, so like I had this yesterday. I spoke with somebody, and after I ended up speaking with him, I gave my brother right there a phone call. I gave him a phone call. Mike, what's going on, man? And we eventually, when we started talking, we started going through it, digesting everything that we were talking about and where we were going with it and where I was going with this other phone call. And like when you said that just right now, it's like I think that was probably one of the main reasons why there was not a connection. There was no relatability.
Mm.
I was looking for something, and what I got was surface level answers. And for me, it's like I need somebody who can dig deep. If you're gonna work with me, you got to be able to dig deep. You know why? Because I'm digging deep in my own life every single day. This is so if I got a hole in my backyard and I'm looking for buried treasure and you want to help me, just know I'm not 3 feet deep. You're going to have to be ready to take the stairs into the ground to find me because I'm digging for my treasure. Does that make sense? Like I'm looking for the jewels. I'm not at the mouth of the cave of understanding. Now, you might have to travel a mile into that cave before you find me because I'm picking up every gem I could possibly find along the way. I'm going as deep as I possibly can go. And so Someone who's going to be relatable to me has got to be that individual who's doing the work, not just selling it, not just giving it. Don't just give me what you read in the book. And Mike, you brought up that thing about counselors. And I went to one day, I was like, all right, we're going to go to marriage counseling. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go to marriage counseling because I want to work out a couple things, and we want to have, we want to go outside into an area where we can find somebody that doesn't know me, doesn't know you, doesn't know our kids, doesn't know anybody. This is what we're going to do. I got inside there and I told the lady, I said, listen now, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever you got. I am ready. I'm ready. I want you to go deep with me. Don't worry about my feelings. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Go deep as you possibly can go because I'm ready. And the lady went, she got this book. I got this book sitting over here. And she got this book. She said, first off, do you all have this book? I said, oh, yeah. What was it called? The seven marriage, something like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got that book. That's a great book. She said, all right, well, this is what we're going to be studying out. All right, perfect. Because I've already read at that point in time, I've already read some of that book. And I know that book helps. I know it. So I'm like, all right, let me get back into it. Let me go back into it. Let me dive back into it. So now she's asking these questions. And I'm like, all right. She's searching around. She's trying to gather information. The next day I showed up. I'm ready now. I did my homework. I read in the book. I gave the book to my wife. She's read in the book. At least I think she has. All right. I did my homework. When I get in there, this lady goes back to pulling out a sheet of paper out of a 3-ring binder with 3 questions on it in a paragraph. And she's like, okay, I want you guys to fill this thing out. And I'm like, it's basically asking me for my name. Like, are you kidding me? I'm not here for no kindergarten help. No, I'm here because there's things that I have recognized that could change in my life, and I'm attempting to change in myself, and it's not working out well for me. So I needed somebody, a third party that can help ride or help drive or help guide me along the pathway that works. No, no. No, it doesn't work. And so that relatability is real big because I don't believe in giving time to wasting time. I don't believe in giving existence to wasting existence. I believe that what I have is the gift that God has given me. And I got the opportunity to share my gift, my life with you. And if you're here to do a job that's going to help me, then do it. Because if not, didn't Tyler Perry quote that thing? I can do bad all by myself. I don't need your help to go down the wrong pathway. I've done it before. I can do it again. I don't need your help to be stuck in the middle of the road. I've done it before. I can do it again. I don't need somebody's help to take me backwards. So when I start to think about resources, I need some level of relatability. Tell me that you've been through what I've been through. Be able to show me that, or show me that you know how to use the tools that you're using, that you're proficient in those tools. Show me that you know how to use the tools. Don't tell me that I need a hammer when I need a screwdriver. You just open up your toolbox. You ain't never used them. No, I'm not here for a novice to practice on. That's not, no, your resources, show me that you know how to control your mind. Show me you know how to control your tongue. Show me you know how, show me something. I need that because I'm the type of man who desires to change. You're not looking at somebody who's faking it. I don't have a mask on my face. I'm not walking in the room with a mask, pretending like I need something when I don't. or pretending like I don't need something when I do. No, when I show up, I do need something. And guess what? I've been doing the work on my communication to be able to communicate it to you the best way I can. If you don't understand what I'm saying, it's real simple. Can you explain it to me another way? Tell me a little bit more. It's easy to get it out of me because I've learned. My old pastor used to say, Elder Simmons, you a hard nut to crack. I learned what that meant. It meant that I keep it in reserve. So now, if you're the right person, I ain't keeping it in reserve. Now you're going to get the unfiltered truth coming out of me. And I think that if we ever want to get somewhere, we need to become the unfiltered truth. That's a resource, fellas. Become the unfiltered truth. Like you say to me all the time, Pastor, I'm an open book. Sometimes I don't even agree with you being an open book. I'm like, gosh, he's really an open book. He's going to tell you what happened yesterday, but it's relatable. I've seen it work. That's the difference. That's a resource. I can bet on that. I ain't a betting man, but I can bet on that. Why? Because I see the man using it. Let me try that out. Good God.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome closing thoughts, man. That definitely sounds like connection. I think our time has been well spent.
Go ahead, Mike.
You know, an hour and a half. You all can get the nuts and the tidbits. But yeah, Elder Rashad, I appreciate you for coming on. Let the people know how they can reach you and
Yes, yes. I can be reached by phone. I'll figure out a different way to put my phone number in there. By email at rashad.business@icloud.com. Um, sorry if I know this is my first time, so I know next time. I hope I'm invited again. Next time it's going to be more,
absolutely.
you know, uh, you know. But I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself. Uh, you know, you got to really come prepared for this.
Yeah,
You guys on another level. Community Beacon is on another level. You can't just step in the playground and just think you're finna just get on a swing. Nah, you gotta come with it. You got to come over here and build your own swing. I love it. At first, in the beginning, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll come on. Then I started thinking like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, powerful men. You all are some powerful men. And I'm glad to be a part.
Thank you,
Great
bub.
help.
Yeah. You've been an awesome guest and gracious guest. So we appreciate you for coming on. Yeah, I heard the last words from the brother. That's some powerful stuff. Go back and rewind it. We appreciate you. We love you. We will see you next week.
Peace.